Good morning everyone, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. So today is another reveal for the project Botanical Beauties. So the next flower that we're stitching for the month of December is Wisteria. Now the Wisteria flower was inspired two ways. One by a wisteria that I purchased, a artificial wisteria, I purchased for my mum's mum-in-law's, Sorry, Fudgy just tried to jump up on my lap and it threw me. My mother-in-law's little townhouse. She had a bougainvillea in a pot. It stood about 1.8 high. So what's that, nearly 6 foot. And it was like 30 years plus old. So all of the artificial flowers were starting to break down, the plastics, and every time you bumped it, something would fall off of it. So we were down there sorting her unit out, doing a few chores, and I said, you know what, let's go shopping. So I found online this beautiful wisteria, and I took a punt that she would like it. She's pretty finicky, and she loved it. So I've taken a photo. I'm going to stop the video and insert that image so you know where my inspiration come from. So I'll do that now. Okay, so you've seen the inspiration, and around that time, these two new packs of fabrics arrived from the Quilters Angels. Now this is, of course, the Tim Holtz fabric range, and I really am waiting to open it up and be inspired by the colour palette. So Wisteria was just perfect. Let's have a little look. Gosh, aren't they pretty? Or this blue would probably be my favourite so far, would it? Oh, ticket's good. What is my phone beeping for? Someone spotted at the shed. That's that bandit. Yeah, it is. Bandit's just cruising the perimeter. That's my dog if you don't know. Oh yeah. These are going to be great. Oh, they're just so pretty. Isn't that pretty? That little bit down there. Itty bitty stamps. Oh, aren't they good? I like how there's this similarity between the whole lot. Yet, here comes Fudgy again. Fudgy wants to come up. Come on, little buddy. Oh my goodness, pussycat. He's just had zoomies, so he's a little bit frisky. So let's just give the Fudge some attention. Going to sit down, buddy? Or are you moving through? He's like, well, this is not what I expected. Fudge, we've got to get on with the show. Quick pat of the cat. That's it. Oh, he's just spotted Bandit at the window. Oh my goodness. If you could see Fudgy's face. I'm getting very sidetracked here. Hey, Fudge, is that Bandit out there? Yep, he's just pegged the dog. Not happy, Jan. All right. Hop down, Fudgy, hey? Come on. We've got to get stitching. We'll be here all day. All right. Oh, look at you. Oh, isn't that good? Gee, I'd buy a bit of that in meterage if I come across that in my travels. Okay, so that's the blues. I'm thinking the wisteria is going to be the purples. Maybe next month I do something in the blues. I have to have a think about blue flowers. Let's have a look at this one. Oh yeah, this has to be it. Look at that. Oh, that's pretty. Stamps, tickets, the map. Look at you. That, when I see that, I think of my mother-in-law. Yeah. Oh, look at that. I tell you, it's lovely to have the idea of the plant. Oh, they're pretty. The idea of the plant in your mind, and then you sit down and you have a look at a bunch of fabrics, and it's like the head just starts buzzing. Let's grab a blank page. Should have one in here ready to go. It's starting to come along, isn't it? Like when you go back through and you remember the the months. Oh, it's so cool. Really happy with the way my book is coming together. All right. Now, in my little brain, the wisteria is going to come from the top down. Something a bit different. That's why I went thinking about plants that drape. And then I think it was 2 weeks later, in comes this wisteria. And I'm thinking, if that's not a sign, nothing is. All right, let's just get a basic line. I sort of want to make sure I really capture the wisteria. I think we'll bring the peak of the plant down here, maybe even lower. We'll see how we go. And we'll drape it up at a slight angle. And we need it reasonably wide up here so we can really play with the petals as such. And then we need a peak of it coming through, probably in other areas, but just small little hints of it. So maybe a second one coming through there. And then some leaves. The leaves are pretty nondescript actually, so I'm sort of not going to put a lot of focus on them, but we do need to represent them. And there's a bit of a softness to this plant, yet it's dense, if that makes sense. So I don't know if you can see what I've drawn there. That's the centre of my page, but I've started just off from the centre to come down. I want it fairly substantial, and I'm going to aim for a triangular shape. I've got a little guy over here. May or may not happen. This might be so overpowering that this gets really shortened, or it needs to be put into place. Then I've just got one little sprig here at the moment, and we'll see how it comes together. Now, as for the plant flower, I might just bring up that picture of mum-in-law's wisteria, because I can zoom in and have a close look at, where is it? Now I can't find it. Just taking a bit to get going this morning. Coffee's starting to kick in, so it's all good. I might pause the video and I'll try and find this picture, because I've probably moved it to an album, so therefore I can't see it easily. I'll be back in a second, guys. Okay, I'm back. So when I had a closer look at the way they constructed this artificial plant, it was a shape that they bent to give the feeling of volume, which is what we're trying to do in this particular project, is have our fabric sort of be a little bit proud on the surface. So I'm going to try and do the same sort of thing. So the shape that they cut out was like a peanut, but fatter at the bottom and thinner at the top. So I might just cut a rectangular shape. Now, they've used a silk, so when they folded it back on itself, you could still see the colour of the fabric, but we're going to see the back of the fabric. So what I'm hoping is we can cut a shape and put a twist in it so that we do see. If that doesn't work, we might separate the two shapes. But let's just get our shape. So I'm going to try first a peanut shape. Actually, I'm going to fold that in half. Let's be a little bit more mindful of the shape. So rectangle, fold in half, and then the top flower needs to be a little bit smaller, that shape. So we get this peanut that has a big bottom. So this is just following the method that they've used to build this. So little peanut, but with a big bottom and a little bottom. So they then had a hole here which then the plastic branch that in behind poked through, and that's what held that little flower. Now we can't do that because we would be seeing the back. If we had double-sided fabric, it'd be all right. You guys might have a play with maybe some, or you know, it'd be nice is sari silk, because it's a colour both sides. So you could easily use sari silk, satin ribbon. Yeah, so maybe if you didn't want to attempt it with cottons, maybe have a look at doing it like that. So my theory is I can twist it. Yeah, that's going to work. There we go. That's what we want, is a little pinched petal. So all I did was just gently bring it in together, twist it so that now that little guy is sitting on top of the big guy and showing its fabric. And then I'm thinking, just for ease, you would put a little stitch there, and then you can start building your wisteria up. And what else would I say? I thought of something, but it's gone blank. Before I lose this template, I'm going to cut a couple more out. So that's the plan. Little peanut. I might actually do it on the other side so you guys can see my shape. So that little fella there. Now, size is definitely a consideration because it's a plant that is tapered. So maybe cut a few out and then let that dictate where they sit on your branch of wisteria. I really like this colour, so I think it's a good one to get into the bulk of the plant. Now, I think wisteria comes in white too, so this would be very pretty done in white. Might as well just cut a whole row. I'm pretty sure I'll use them. And they're all similar size at the moment. I might cut you in half that way. That's going to give me smaller ones for the bottom of the plant, because it gets smaller as you go down the bottom. I could probably make the center a little narrower and then decide what's the top. Let's get little scissors before I chop my fingers off. So there's a little bit of work in creating all your petals. So do the twist and then lay it down. And then what we'll do is we'll pop a stitch in it. And that's going to allow it, I think, to flute a little bit too, which is great. So that's the plan. I think this will work. As long as it feels like a very bushy. Yeah, so now we've got these two little round shapes. It's sort of, you get bang for your buck, don't you, when you do that? All right, let's get you condensed in at the waist, twist, lay down. I've been waiting to do this for a little while. I had a feeling that purple and blue were coming because it was popping up in my local stores. So I started thinking about purples and blues, and I thought, oh, that'd be great to have those colour palettes pop up in my journal. And then when this wisteria come along, I was like, oh yeah, we are going to have a play with that one. Okay, so there we go. We got another one. Yeah, that's going to work a treat. Happy with that. So fold in half. You could even fold again, couldn't you? No, just Just do it simple, girl. Don't go and complicate things, but you could be just making sure you cut it right. You could run the risk of it not having the big bottom on it, the peanut with the funny bottom. Some nice hips on your peanuts, what you want. There we go. Squinch it in. Twist, lay down. So the other thing I want to do is bring in some different colours. All right, let's just cut a few of them and then we can start. This is a little guy, so fold in half, but the other way. If you want to draw a shape, go for it, but I'm just freehanding it. I want it to look rustic. I've sort of tried to do that through the whole project, not overthink it, giving the illusion that we know what we're doing with a plant and letting the fabric sort of dictate shape and form. So big bottom, you'll be sitting there saying this, going big bottom, narrow shoulders. There we go. Beautiful. So what we might do next is we'll just stitch these few and then we'll go hunting for another colour, because the wisteria could be made up of a bit of depth in colour. Oh, what happened there? Oh my goodness. Look, I'll leave it because that could be at the very top, a nice big plump one, versus these little ones. I think I've got one more to go. I should put my wisteria word in position too. Let me just zoom out a little bit. Oh, there we go. Don't need to be real close up on this project because of the detail. So twist, scrunch your waist in, or put the belt on, bringing your waist in, one twist, lay it down, and then a stitch. Just a little stitch. Oh my goodness, I feel like I'm all thumbs. You know, you have days like that where you just, nothing's coordinating. I had a big day of stitching yesterday. And my arm is aching. My back is aching. I watched about 7 movies. I really put some, that's like a double peanut. Something went really wrong with that. I'm going to take advantage of that and cut it into that. And just pretend that that didn't happen. And get more peanuts for my money. It's interesting when you see artificial plants and you have a look at the construction method of it, because we can apply that to our work. You find yourself in a $2 shop looking at artificial flowers, thinking about how they put it together. All right, stitched, couple little stitches, knotted off, done. So very quickly we're going to get a few of them made. We've got time. The background and everything, as you know from previous episodes, it's just layers of bits and pieces that connect to your image and stitching. So what I'm thinking with this particular piece, it's always 2 videos with this project, a week apart. So I'm thinking the first video will be building the wisteria, because that's a lot of work. This is going to take some time. Now this one won't work for me. Twist, lay it down. Oh yeah, it's a nice little one. And a little stitch. One, two stitches and a little twist. Let's just keep it simple, girl. Another one. Twist, lay it down. I've never done a wisteria before. It's a very pretty plant. I saw a lot of it in Paris, actually. The one day we went to the markets and there was some really old historical buildings near, well famous photographed buildings, and they were near the place we had lunch, and the markets were sort of around them, and it was covered in wisteria. I'd never seen anything like it in real life, and it was just beautiful. Very pretty plant. Don't see a lot of it in Australia. It's around. I've seen it for sale. Oh, I did not that, guys. Okay, so we might just do the last one. Now this potentially could be a little bit of embroidery as well. Wonder how we could incorporate that. We'll see how we go for colours. I think I'll have enough colours to pull it off without having to do embroidery, but what would be pretty is the bottom. Yeah, let's do that. Maybe the bottom where it tapers out, we bring our threads out and do a little bit of embroidery. I also need to think about the stem, which barely makes an appearance, but I'm going to make that quite small because I want to make sure that I've got this colour right down the tip. So let's make some itty bitty ones, and I guess that's going to tell me whether we do embroidery or not. This would be beautiful done in silk ribbons if you wanted to have a play with them. It's not really the aesthetic I have happening here, so I won't be pulling out the silk ribbons, but there's a possibility. I'm going to make that a little daintier at the top. It's a bit too big still. So twist, lay it down. Is there a knot in there? Try and get into the habit of knotting after I finish the stitch, and then it's ready to go, because once you've got your fingers full and you're trying to construct it. So I'm going to knot it now. I wonder, I'm going to cut that again. Oh, now we're getting really small. If they don't work, it doesn't matter. We can ditch them or use them somewhere. We might need some little tiny ones further up in the head of the flower to help build, you know, that daintiness about it too. Oh, that's tiny. Fabric's getting quite frayed, but I'm okay with that. Okay, yeah, see, that's great. I don't think there's going to be embroidery on mine. We'll see. It's whether we can achieve that small little tapered bottom on it. So let's fold you again. Get your tiny little peanut out of a tiny little scrap. Oh, oh boy, this is fiddly. Bring in the waist. I'm not making the waist too narrow because I still want bulk at the top of the little petal. So don't be tempted to make it too thin because it sort of helps give you that little bit of chunkiness. All right, so there's our line coming down. Let's get the big guys at the top. Oh, I love how that's sitting a little off center. Oh, it's exactly how it was on the plant. I don't want to see any of the white, but I suppose it wouldn't matter, that white being the underside. I want a bit of width to it. And then it comes down. We'll put these tiny little ones at the very bottom. That's where they'll start to see a little bit of the stem peeking out. Okay, so that's a good start. We're definitely going to be doing that, and because I know I can get the scale right down to just a dainty little twig. So let's have a look at some of these other fabrics that I've got here. I think the map would be really cool to put in amongst it. Probably need a few, so I might just slither off that whole bottom. So sort of just cutting by eye now. I think we got the general gist of it. So a little, put the big scissors down, girl. It's going to be tops of fingers missing. It's a messy little project, this one. I think we're gonna, like the English, we're going to need some darker tones in there. I think this map one for me is going to give me the light bouncing around. Oh, I've got a really fine needle. As I said, last night I was doing a lot of stitching, and most of the day I was using a reasonable needle, but it felt like a crowbar. So after dinner, when I decided I was going to do another session, Gaz was sitting out in his man cave playing a game. He was there all day actually, which was, great because I got a lot of work done. But then after we had dinner, he says, oh, I'm sort of halfway through constructing some complex that houses dinosaurs in my game. So I could do with another hour or two. And I'm like, well, that means, 4 hours. You know how it goes when we're in our rooms. Usually means it'll be a little while. I'm like, yeah, no worries. It's all good. And I can actually see his little TV from the house where I am. And I could see he was on his game, but every so often he was on YouTube. And I think he was researching techniques of how to advance his game. It really gets involved, this whole hobby stuff, doesn't it? So he was down a little rabbit hole. Oh, yeah, that's going to be good. Some little white ones. We'll call them my white ones. Yeah, he was researching how to advance his game, and I thought, oh, I'm going to have a slice of cheesecake. There was a piece kicking around in the fridge, like there is, not usually. And I'm going to put in an all-nighter. Oh, I like that one too. I think I need a bit of darkness, so I'm going to just take a little bit of this. I don't want it to overpower my piece, but I think I can handle it in under everything. So I'm going to take a piece of that, and I love that. That is so Joan as well. So I think we need a few of them. What if the little one here was a different combination? Yes, let's do that. Great idea, everyone. Thanks for that. And they don't need to be big. So what I'm thinking of doing is this one be a slightly different combination of colours. I think that'll make it quite interesting. Anyway, what was I saying? So he's toddled off to his shed to play his game. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to have an all-nighter. I'm going to just, you know, when you're into something, it's stitching-wise, and you look at it and you know, another 3 hours and it'd be done. So that's what we did. Found some old movies. Put the scissors down, you're going to cut your finger off. Get the little ones. Found a couple old movies. Fudgy pulled up a seat next to me. So he was snoring and I was stitching. And my needle through the day was really ploughing through my work. And I didn't change it. And every time I pulled a thread, I was like, oh, this needle just doesn't feel right. So anyway, because I'd stopped and thought about it, and I grabbed this guy out. Oh my goodness, what a difference. It reminds me of Reg. Now, Reg was a very thin needle that was dangerous. It bit me. He bit me many times, and then removing my thread, because I put a little knot in the top of my needles all the time. It just saves me rethreading. I snipped his head off. Very graphic. So Reg bit the dust. I was even going to print a line of T-shirts. Reg was such a nasty little needle. Well, so far I haven't had an injury from this little fellow. He doesn't get a name until he becomes, oh yeah, look at that. I think I could go darker, you know. I just think that that's probably a bit blendy. Maybe I won't change yet. Maybe once I get more other colours in. I sort of feel like I could bring one of those blues in, but put the big scissors down. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so changing your needle out. So if you're working on a project and you just feel like you're ploughing through very thick custard, change your needle out and you might just think, wow, what an epiphany. So twist once. Lay it down. I like it when it's a bit off angle. See that? I like it. But I think that day of stitching has aggravated the tendon in my forearm here, because today I feel achy. And I could go back to that piece and do some more, but I decided I'd come in here and film this because at least everything's changing. That was a lot of camphor stitching and needle turn applique. I was working on the Roxy project. So the needle turn applique is very, you know, small and tight, and then I did some English paper piecing, so all very tightly restricting type of movements, and I've given myself a bit of a jarring arm. So I thought this project, I'm going to get in and get this done. We'll just change the movement of my arm. I'd say I'll be out of action for a couple of days due to that strain now. So maybe I go work on the Mouse Chateau. Oh yeah, that's really good. I'll zoom in so you can see. This project would also look really cool in Suffolk puffs too. Little yo-yos, and that would look really neat. I'll do a couple more dark ones. I think they're holding their own, especially that there. If my fabric was all that colour, I think it'd be perfect. So I might try and get a nice fat bottom there that catches that dark fabric. It's good when you remember to knot your thread before you put your needle down. So you do the snip, pop your petal down and knot. So then you're ready for the next one. It's all about getting into a routine, isn't it? Big scissors, put them away. Oh, it's like I've got to train the brain. I'm sure you guys know what I mean. Especially when I'm out of camera shot here. I'm sorry, guys. It's riveting viewing when we slide off the camera. But, you know, we YouTubers are all just a pack of homebodies that love what we do and bring you guys along for the adventure. There's no production. There's no Disney production behind us. I always feel a little sad when I read comments on people's videos when people criticise their ability to film and they're doing the most spectacular work. Look, I've got a knot now. They're doing the most spectacular work and then you read these little comments about, you know, anyway, doesn't matter. You know what would be good too on a wisteria, if your piece is small, is bullion knots. Oh, I must show you the picture of my slug. Oh, God. So we had some rain for a few days in a row. And I was sitting there stitching away yesterday. And I could see the top of something that seriously looked like a snake head. It was curved and dark, and Pepper was at it, sniffing it, right up on it. And I'm screaming, no, Pepper, no, because in my head it looked like a snake. It was at least as wide as this reel of cotton. You can see it's a decent size. Put a curve on it. I could see about that much peeking up past the glass sliding door, and Pepper's going in to have a little sniff at it. It didn't move, and I was like, slow motion, picture me getting off the chair, like running towards the door, screaming, no, Pepper, back away, Pepper, because I was convinced it was a brown snake, like a young brown snake. And at any minute it was going to strike Pepper on the nose. I thought, oh. But as I got to the door, I realised that it was only about, that's an unusual shape there. I'll leave it, but because I think it's still petal-like. Yeah, as I got closer to the sliding glass door and could actually get an aerial shot down on it, it was about that long. So 2 of these. So picture it, like seriously, that's how big it was. 2 reels of cotton and the width of a reel of cotton. The biggest slug I've ever seen. Pepper's already, you know, backed away because I'm screaming and half falling off the recliner to get to the door to save the dog. And it was a slug, huge. So before I went and got slug off the door, I Googled it, and it was a rainforest slug. And I'm thinking, man, this is big. And I had a bad slug problem in Brisbane. So my vegetable garden was just always being hit by slugs. And I didn't do anything about them other than put sugarcane mulch in around anything that I wanted to protect, because I don't like climbing over sugarcane mulch. It's too rough of a surface. So they hit my strawberries pretty hard. I had a big, I nearly said paddock. I don't have a paddock of strawberries. Oh my goodness. I had a big, pretty big patch of strawberries. So I could spare a few to the slugs as long as they left me a few. And between the slugs and bandit, barely got a strawberry. So I'm thinking, oh no, this place has slugs too. I would have thought not, because it's a sandy coastal environment, but no, we've got a bush rainforest behind us. There's a lot of mulch. So yeah, I've got slugs and they're monsters. So I picked him up in a paper towel and relocated him, and was a little bit disappointed that now I've got these slugs as well. But what can you do? I don't really want to put out slug bait stuff, because it not only kills your slugs, it can kill your dogs. So we can't be doing that. And he's a monster, you know. I've only got 5 strawberry plants. That beast would eat the strawberries and the plant in a night. But, and I must say, when I started looking, there's a pole to our patio roof right next to that door. And on that was an itty bitty slug, a tiny one. And I thought, oh, they know I've got strawberries. I sent a picture to my mate and said, tell you plant strawberries, you get slugs. A little bit disappointing. So I'm liking how this is coming together. These little guys are going to work a treat. So I need some more up in there, and I'm going to go the darker ones. Slightly bigger. We'll cut 1, 2, 3. So then the next thing I would do is put a little stitch in, which is going to be tricky because I've made them all. So you guys, as you're watching this video, you might decide to start at the top and stitch as you go. I'm laying them out so we get a quick visual for you guys to sort of go off and play. But construction-wise, I'd probably make and stitch as I went. I'd have 2 needles going, actually, for efficiency. And then I think too, I would turn my work around. Be another thought. Let's get rid of all my scraps. I'd spin it around and start building it upside down. What's that cartoon? No, it wasn't a cartoon. It was a puppet show when I was a kid. Mr. Squiggle. And he was a marionette puppet. For those of you who aren't Aussies, I'm pretty sure it wasn't a national show around the world. I think it was a bit of an Australian thing. He was a puppet, looked a bit like Pinocchio, and he had a pencil for his nose. I used to love him. Now that I think back to my love of drawing and all of that, as well as, you know, constructing something from nothing, I used to watch every episode. And he was controlled. He was like a marionette with strings, and he had the pencil, and he would draw on a blackboard who had a bad attitude. He had legs. He had, did he have eyes? I don't know. I have to Google it. And no, I don't think he did. He was just legs and an arm, or I don't know. I'd have to have a look. And he'd go, hurry up, when Mr. Squiggle was taking too long or procrastinating about his drawing. And then it'd turn up the other way, and you'd see what Mr. Squiggle was drawing. Oh, I'm going to have to Google that for you now, so you know. Finish what you're doing. Look, I've jiggered that one up. Oh, my goodness. Looks like a double petal, but that's all right. We can... Did I put a knot in? No. See, telling a story and I forget my little routine. So my homework will be to make all my petals, get them into position for both of my sprigs. Have we got time? Yeah, we've still got plenty of time. Sort of thinking I need it up the top there, possibly even darker ones. So I feel like I need something to go in there. I know once I move this, yeah, I need to cut bigger rectangles. I'm not getting the size that I had in mind. That's okay. It's all good. It's all experimenting, isn't it? Maybe we talk leaves. No, we'll do leaves and stems. No, we'll keep going. We'll keep going because it sort of all goes together, especially the stem. We will make the stem fabric. No, we won't. We won't because it's fine. It's got a daintiness about it. We'll come through with something else for the stems. Yeah, definitely need bigger ones. I didn't achieve that, but that's okay. And what I'd do is actually turn it around, and as you construct your flower and lay them down, you can stitch them. I'd start like that. Just bring them in fairly tight, get the top all sorted. You can see you're going to need a few of them. And I think my scale needs to be a little bit more. And then out you come with your little petals. Stitching in them as you go. And then just try and keep that shape. It does get a bit bumpy and lumpy. Don't be too cone shaped. Try and drift out a little bit. What we might do is I just want to bring out those blues again and audition whether we put a pop of blue into it. I'm tempted, you know. Is there anything really? No. I'm going to stay within the purples. You might want to bring blue into yours. What about that turquoisey pack we got a little while back? No. There's some greens. Let's bring those greens in. Just going to put the turquoise back in. That'd make a beautiful wisteria. Not that I think wisteria is teal, but what's Pepper woofing at? Whenever those woofs are different, I tell you, I swear there's a menagerie of beasts around here at the moment. So my leaves, let's just get these two down. I'm thinking just a pointy little, I might cut that rectangle again. The leaves seem to be very uniformed. Well, they are on there. See? So I'm thinking do the same thing. We fold in half. Oh, this is going to take hours. Fold in half and get us quite an elongated leaf. The round bottom. Is that too big? I think a fraction smaller, as in diameter of the leaf, a little bit more. Yeah, something like that. You guys have a play with it and see what suits. I think the leaf is also a case of how big is your piece. I need a darker colour to go with that. How big's your piece? Like, is it I'm just thinking, is this the right colour? And I'm going to go a little bit bigger with this leaf. Look, at the end of the day, just fiddle, guys. That's what it's about. There's no wrong way. This will give me a longer one. Little fingers. That'd so easily take the top of my finger off those scissors. We do not want to see that. Oh, I like that. It's got a slight curve in the top of it. Not that you're going to see it, but it's a completely different shape. So that's, I think with this leaf, I'm going to definitely fold the fabric and keep a very uniformed structure to it. There's so much movement in this that I think the leaf needs to be quite controlled. It's still not pointy enough. It looks like a completely different. A little bit more. Yeah, that's better. So I'll put that one in there and that one in there and stitch them down. And you won't need many. I think if anything, you probably get quite small down here. And then as for the stem, I would probably just aim to have maybe a few little stitches there, a few little stitches there. Bring that down like it's just a hint of it. Let me turn it around. Okay, let me go grab my green threads and let's have a play with something. This one here just jumped out at me. It sort of matches that. So it feels like it could be the same plant. I think that's probably a bit thin. I would probably do two, just so that it holds its own a little bit. Have I got a big enough needle here? Yep. And I would do this after. But I'd probably ensure that you have drawn your vein of your connecting. Let's just start down here and bring the needle up. And we're just going to do a couple stitches coming up. You could couch something. I don't think I'm going to. I'm going to just. So I guess there's a. Okay, here's a thought. The top stitch first. Get your bulk happening. Leave the middle. Leave all that in the middle. So that's all building. Then come down the bottom here and put in a couple little stitch lines with your double over thread if that's what you need thickness wise. Just getting rid of all these scraps. They're messing me head up here. Nearly threw the leaf out. Okay, so let's assume that that's all stitched down up there. Leave the centre. Then I'd come back to your itty bitties and start bringing them in. Let's assume that that's stitched down. Actually, let's do it. We can. We've got a little bit of time. I'm going to take off this word wisteria because that's just a pin that's going to jab me. They're all going to fall because they're not stitched, but that's okay. So is that my smallest one? Yeah, it is. So that's my little guy. And I'm going to anchor him. So you would have been doing this same technique. Oh. What's happened there? This same technique up there, just one at a time, layering them up. And just pop a little stitch in that top of him. You don't want to stitch the petal down as such. You just want it to be, you know, just flapping in the breeze. Let me zoom in now. We've got 3 stitches in. I might bring my needle back up through just so that it doesn't get caught in behind. And that could be, you know, as long as you want. But down here, where it's quite sporadic in structure, I'm thinking they're big. We want little ones. Needle is still there. I can jump to there and catch the next one. And the green embroidery thread is just peeking through. If you want to control the shape, like that swung around on me, like it's swung in, I'm just going to put a little stitch further along. I'm going to turn that out so we don't see that. Okay, so 2 little stitches. Then I'll bring the needle up here because that's where we've got a gap, and find another little guy. We'll put this little guy in, I think. It's a bit cack-handed that I'm doing here, but I think you guys get the general gist. And then anchor him. So you might find that you end up making a tiny little one. Oh, the camera. Hang on, guys. Let me just tilt it down a little bit. You might find that you do even another one, a small one. You've got plenty of room. Too dark. This one's good. Oop. So there you go. That's your next flower. Now I've covered that. So I'm just going to adjust it a fraction and bring it over the other side. Oh, I love that. I might do a knot. I feel like my thread is swinging in the air. You know, when you're beading, I might just jump up a little higher because I have covered most of that green stitch. There's a tiny one. You're good. Maybe I bring you there. That'll soften that back down because it got quite chunky quite quick. Okay, so now I can pick another one. And I'm thinking it's a dark. Yep. Bring my needle back. Put the petal in position. And secure with a stitch. There we go. I think what I'm trying to achieve at the very bottom of my flower head is a little bit of sparseness so that you can see this green leaf happening. I think very quickly it's irrelevant. Like I might even end that there because I think there's nothing to be seen further up. So we'll do that because what I might do is come back down to that bottom. I feel like we could maybe put in a little stitch like a lazy daisy or two just to just to soften that. I don't know. Let's do a little. I didn't achieve anything then. Let's try that again. A little lazy daisy at the bottom. And then I might try not to stab any petals. I'll do another one there. I don't know, it just feels like it could have a little bit of green. I don't know if the wisteria plant actually does this at the bottom, but I sort of feel like we could bring a little bit more through, just a hint of it. It's our plant, we can do what we want, hey? And then I might even come up here where there's that gap. Oh, they're flying off everywhere. It's all good. Got a lovely little bowl of petals and a couple of leaves. I'm just going to, see I've got a bit of a gap there. I'm going to pop another green. Those leaves that I cut out too, I'm going to use that dark green one sparingly. I'm really loving this effect with this crochet cotton. There we go, we've got a label inside. That's what I'm using. I picked that up in a thrift store. And it's beautiful, sliding through my fabric here. My new favourite cotton, I think. There we go. I like that. But I think that's about all I'd want to do of the green, to be honest. And I'm even a bit concerned that that big green leaf might be too much. I'd say I'll have to just play it by ears. But there you go. I know that's not showing you everything finished, but I think that's enough for you guys. I'm just zooming back out to enjoy your week of making wisteria. And if I just put all of those on there, let's pretend they're stitched. I just don't want to rush it too. I've got a few days that I can do a bit of gentle stitching. So I'm thinking I can really play with this. It gives you guys a bit of an idea of what it looks like. And it needs quite a bit. I'm going to be very generous with my petals. Yeah, and I would definitely start at the top of the page and get your bulk, then come down to the bottom and taper it to that point, and then your inside, and be a little bit off-centered. Don't be a cone shape. Don't be too restricted in your shape. That's what I'm trying to say. Let it have a bit of air. I think that'll go a long way to building up. I think of a bunch of grapes. They're often not just a tight. So you could even then break him down into a smaller little finer leaf and just have a couple of them peeking out as well. Yeah, I might do that as well. Like I'd do half that size. I suppose I could probably lay that whole thing in there, and then as they pop in over it. But I think it needs to be a little bit finer. Okay, and then over here, I'll do a similar thing, but maybe pick only a couple combinations of the colours. So I've used 3. So let's say I only use 2. But it'd need to be really small scale. Just to, oh, you could fiddle with this for hours, couldn't you? Okay, so there you go. All right, well, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to go away and stitch all this, and then I'll come back and show you its shape, and then next week we'll build on the background. All right, I shall see you in a moment. I might pop in some more images close up of this. I'll take some screenshots so that you can have another look without going back through the video. And, you know, and even the leaves, I might Well, see, I don't know if this is true to Wisteria, but it's pretty good. You might want to do a leaf formation like that at the top away from it too. Depends how much space you have. I don't want to take too much away from the blossom itself. So, yeah. All right, well, I'm off to have a play. I think you guys get the general gist of how this little baby's going to come together. And, yeah, be back in a split second with a wisteria coming down the page and maybe a few leaves and another one there. We'll see. All right, back in a moment. Okay, I'm back and I've finished my wisteria blossoms. Absolutely love them. They, I think, worked out beautifully. I used that green crochet cotton that I'd selected just to do a few little random stitches. I didn't do too much of the leaves. They were the two I cut out with you guys, and I just added one extra. Just didn't want to overpower the plant. I know some of those pictures I've put up, there's a lot of green in the background, and there probably is in real life, but I think by the time I bring in some other textures and do a bit of stitching, if I do need more leaves, I can always add them. So at the moment, that is the first step. Okay, well, I'll leave it at that, and I shall see you in the next video next week when we start building in the background. All right, guys, have a good day.